This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining me on Stockbox today is Paul Johnson, the CEO of Power Metal Resources. Now, Paul, I noticed this morning you've released an RNS on your Australian copper gold project in Western Australia. It's regarding FDR, which is the vehicle first development resources that will be spinning out in Australia with these projects. You've released a presentation with some key points in there. What stands out for you?
Well, it's a project package that's under a conditional acquisition. So we're just waiting for the grant of the Walal license, transfer of Ripon Hills into the Australian company, and then we'll be ready to go. So we've been doing work, preparing ourselves and looking at the information available. And, well, it's staggering, really. I mean, there's no other way of saying it. When we looked at the data and we looked at these bullseye magnetic targets that we have within the license ground at the Walal project, we have two big anomalies we've referenced today. The Eastern anomaly, and there's some pictures in the presentation comparing that anomaly to the Haverion. Similar information. It looks slightly bigger. It looks slightly technically stronger with the data that's been used. And that's amazing because, you know, Haverion took Greatland Gold effectively a long way up its journey from a £1 million junior exploration company in 2015 to a £1 billion company in 2021, earlier this year. So to have similar targets at this point in time is incredible. Of course, the Eastern anomaly is that we've got is somewhat dwarfed by our Western anomaly, which is vastly bigger. And yeah, we're very excited. There's nothing else I can say. The market, of course, is not very excited as a whole generally at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And is this project, this target, how close is it to Havieron and Greatland Gold's project?
It's a way up the road. It's in the Patterson, but it's in the different area, and it doesn't really matter because this type of target is quite a hot exploration focus in Australia, in that part of the world generally. So it's more the geological similarities rather than geographical closeness that really matter. Okay, and then looking at those two, you call them bullseyes. They do look very similar there. Is it possible to almost have a Mark II of Havieron, a replica? Or an even bigger one, maybe.
Perhaps.
Well, we've got to do the work, and I know as a private investor myself, there's a great degree of eagerness of having the returns now. If only I could invest £100 and then tomorrow have 450 and do that every day, then it would be great. From a corporate perspective, of course, you have to build to those moments. You have to make sure that you have the right projects, including this amazing first development resources package in the portfolio. Then you have to make sure that they have the right corporate structure around them. In this case, we're going to spin this vehicle out into its own UK listed vehicle. And that's we've talked about that publicly. It's going to have its own finance, so it's not going to be a burden for Power Metal Resources. It will be financed independently, have its own management team and its own drive, strategy, and operational focuses. And very, very key to this is that we build our knowledge and information as we're doing the IPO preparatory process. We build our knowledge of these of the project in FDR. We do further technical work. We refine our drill targeting, and then we come on the market. We raise money as part of the IPO process for FDR, and that money is applied to drilling of these targets to give the IPO vehicle a fabulous start in life with some highly, highly interesting and potentially high impact exploration. Okay, so when will FDR IPO then? And are you waiting until such time as IPOs in order to do exploration, or are there activities going on now through and then beyond IPO? Yeah, well, we're kind of managing and controlling that process. We've said we're targeting an autumn 2021, so this year IPO. You're kind of grateful, aren't you, if you're doing these things, that you haven't got IPOs pinging out right now, because the market's a bit of a damp squib. So it would be the worst possible time to be releasing new vehicles onto the market at the moment. But so I'm optimistic that come late summer and autumn, we're going to see a very buoyant set of conditions. But for this package, it doesn't really matter, actually, because I think it's such an amazing opportunity to go after Haverion type discovery and to build, as you kind of put it, GGP2, that I think the market will engage in any conditions. We are going to do as much as we can to refine our targets during the next few months as we do the technical IPO process. The key with all of these IPO vehicles is that they are standalone. So we want to demonstrate to the market very quickly that we're not going to be funding these ourselves. They're going to have their own independent finance, because I don't want people to worry that with all this corporate activity going on, Power Metal will run out of cash, because we won't. It's going to be done in a manner that will raise finance at the corporate project spin out level rather than through the PLC. And we're going to be communicating all the way through. We're going to tell people about the process, the IPO process, and what's happening, where we can, where we're allowed to. And we're going to make sure that any exploration findings, as with today's news, are fed out to market.
Okay. And of course, we talk about Greatland Gold there and perhaps the similarities. And of course, Greatland is one of the best success stories of AIM in recent years. Fantastic value transformation there. But of course, you were involved in Greatland Gold, weren't you? From about, was it 2016? And you were involved with the refinancing and the restructure and the finding of that deposit. Is that fair to say? I mean, can you tell us a bit about your past history with Greatland, and then why you feel that this is equally as exciting?
Well, back in 2016, Greatland wasn't loved. I was CEO of Metal Tiger PLC, and we were making investments as an investing company. I thought Greatland was a perfect vehicle to see some reinvigoration with the right capital going in and the right board. So I did the deal with Greatland. The then board, including Callum Baxter, to put in £150,000 at 0.1 pence a share, and get that was 150 million shares, and get 150 million warrants at 0.2 pence a share. The moment I did that deal, I was slated and lots of emails and texts saying what a buffoon I was, and Greatland had never done anything. But it had the right project mix with Ernst Giles, Bromos, Fire Tower Warrantina in Tasmania. It had the right mix of projects to kickstart itself if it had the right direction. So there were a few board changes as well, and I went on the board for a few months just to help with the transitional process. I'd met this fabulous guy called Gervais Heddle. You might know him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, I just thought he had the perfect blend of skills, drive, capability, and all that. This was back in 2016. And so I asked him if he'd like to get involved, and he wanted to, and he went on the board and eventually obviously became CEO and drove it through. Now, the initial programs that were undertaken, I think they drilled Bromos, and they were drilling Ernst Giles, and they drew the attention of Newmont into Ernst Giles, and it drove the share price up from, say, 0.2, up to much higher levels. I think it went to 2.5 in late 2017. And then Newmont decided not to proceed with after an exclusivity period, and then pulled out of the Ernst Giles kind of project, as it were, and the share price collapsed to just over 0.5. But of course, in the background, they had Haverion that I think, if I recall correctly, was a case I can't remember yesterday, let alone 5 years ago. But I think Haverion had come into the board for review, or might have come to the board for review just before I left the board of Greatland in the summer of 2016, after my job was done. But it was I think it was announced a short time afterwards, and it didn't get too much attention at first until they started doing the drilling and got the results out. and they found those incredible intersections, and it blew the roof off the price, ultimately. But it took a while, because if you go that if the discovery was 2018, then in early 2020, Greatland was trading not much over 1.5 pence a share, so hadn't really moved a dramatic amount. Admittedly, that was with the COVID dip. But it wasn't until later on in the year and into January 2021 that you saw Greatland rise up to 38 pence. So the market doesn't necessarily follow the logic of the situation. And I see that with POW, as a business. I look at our business and we have major discovery potential and value assets within the portfolio. Way, way, way above, the majority of other public companies, if not all, in our sector group. And it's been built very carefully to have multiple discoveries and multiple high value creation events. I mean, across the board. And I look at where we're going. And as an investor said to me this morning, okay, at the moment it's a bit difficult when you look at the announcements that you put out and you don't see the reaction. But in 12 to 18 months, you will be laughing, and me as an investor will be laughing. Just wait and see. And I fair enough. The big value in our business comes with waiting. Had you have jumped out of Greatland Gold too early, as I did as an investor, in fairness, and didn't wait for that major value blow off that occurred in 20 and 21, then you would have missed out that opportunity, of making outsized capital returns. And with FDR, I'd like to create Greatland Gold too. Of course I would. It might be possible, it might not be, but the signs in the teacup at the moment, and from the technical review that we've got and we've undertaken so far, are incredibly good. We should have gone up on that announcement today, every day of the week, every week of the year. We should have gone up markedly on that announcement today, but the market at the moment doesn't give you what you want immediately, and you might have to wait a little bit. But make no mistake about it, Mark, that was a phenomenal announcement that we put out, and I think that business package is going to serve us incredibly well.
Okay. Well, I would suggest people go and have a look, follow the link to the website. It's only a short presentation. It's about eight or nine slides. It very succinctly explains what you've got there and the comparisons there to Greatland Gold. You talk about the share price and, of course, the valuation of the company. Why, in your view, then, on a day like today, when there's a seemingly very positive RNS, the share price falls? What do you think you have to do? And is it fair to say that the valuation at the moment is based on exploration, and really we're waiting for some stuff to come out the ground?
Yeah, I think, first of all, Michelle does pay me to stay calm and to just keep doing my job relentlessly, which I will do. Discoveries of major deposits just don't happen like that. They take a build-up of time, and we've been building quite rapidly. We've been doing drilling quite early on some of our projects, and we've had some incredible success. Look at the stuff at Silver Peak, where we managed with a very short program to hit 6,000 grams of ton silver. We've had, good, strong progress at Hanetti on taking the project to the diamond drill stage now with the RAB drill that was undertaken and confirming our targets. And of course, very importantly at Malopo, we found nickel in the first drill holes. I mean, this is needle in a haystack stuff in those big kind of Botswana projects. And for all of the optimism and enthusiasm and everything else you want to have, the reality is when you're going for these big, deep targets, you can miss it in a flash if your drill goes slightly offline because it's so deep. So for us to get those results out, and there's obviously more to come. It was phenomenal. So what in terms of our business, we have, as I said before, got multiple different things that were with major discovery potential. We positioned ourselves, I think, very, very well over the last couple of years. I think as these ducks start to line up, people will increasingly start to see what we're doing. The IPOs will generate, I believe, dramatic value for our business, and as people start to see it, and the presentation today gives people a flavour for the type of stuff that we're going to be doing going forward, then I think people will gather their confidence. The markets will strengthen a bit. The more news will come out. It will increase the confidence, and then all of a sudden you're going to see quite a reaction, I think. Oh, that's what I hope, at least, in our share price.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Paul Johnson, the CEO of Power Metal Resources.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.